Um, we're going to start with Jen Flynn, Area 4, with this question. What do you think of the current grading system across all school levels in Pleasanton? How do you respond to criticisms about things like grade inflation, homework, test retakes, and or even a regression in academic rigor here in PUSD?
The grading system can be a little confusing when you're a parent. I have different grading systems for different kids. And so it is awfully confusing when I'm looking on my parent view and I'm looking at my high school student and the teachers are grading one way, and then I'm looking at a middle school student and they're grading a different way. So that's my personal experience with the grading. There was a second part to that question too, sorry.
How do you feel about criticisms like grade inflation, homework, test retakes, and even regression in academic rigor?
So test retakes, I actually love the opportunity of giving our students an opportunity to do better. I think that we all should, even as adults, be given that opportunity to say, hey, you've done this, but let's try again and do better this time. So I do agree that that's a really important thing to show our children that it's okay to not do the best all the time, but to always try and work harder. Thank you.
Charlie Jones, Area 4.
I do think that it is fair to criticize and to complain about grades. Remember, I was a student here. I complained about my grades and how it was done all the time. Some of my teachers are still teaching. A couple of them are actually in this room. But we are one of the best districts in the state. So when it comes to grade inflation, we need to remember we are phenomenal educators. Our students are incredibly bright. There's a reason that they're able to go into the trades and into quite often the colleges that they want to go to, because they do know the material. They do understand what's going on. We should be proud of that. Now, I do support, I'm a teacher. I give my students test retakes. Our job is not to fail students. Our job is to help them learn and to succeed. If they're failing, that means that we didn't do it right the first time, and we need to work together so they understand it the second time around. There's nothing wrong with that. I have ADHD and dyslexia. I was horrible at tests. Horrible. I needed those test retakes. I didn't have a 504 plan, but my teachers understood and they supported me. And I give that same grace to my students. And I think that's important. Grading for equity matters because we do not always know the home life of the students within our district. So when we give second chances, when we allow for grading on a curve, these are things that help people understand that we're not here to fail you, we're here to lift you up and get you to the point where you can be successful. And that's never something that we should be ashamed of. Our slogan for this town is we're a community of character, we're a community of cares. That's how you do that. And so while we might have things we can complain about, in general, our grading, I believe, is pretty good. We could tweak it, sure. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing is our kids are learning and they are getting this material, but we just need to make sure all of them are. Thank you.
Donalyn Harris, Area 3.
Thank you. Okay, equitable grading. What a great big element. So I don't want to share too much. I don't want to go too far into detail of any specific classroom that I was in, and I don't want to throw my children under the bus either. So I will say that I've seen one classroom can serve a very wide spectrum of students as far as where they are on the ability scale. And I think that it's incredibly important that no matter what we're trying to teach them, we need to be able to understand how to assess them and ensure that we're assessing their mastery of the concept. That can look really different for a whole bunch of different kids. Equitable grading doesn't mean that kids get to play on their phones during class and then take a test as many times as they want to until they pass it. That's not what it's about. And I think that that's a place where PUSD maybe kind of missed out on an opportunity to really collaborate with the community and explain in better detail, what that equitable grading can look like. I agree with Jen Flynn, like, it's really just a trip to look into Student View and try and understand everything that's going on. I know that, I have a student who benefits so much from retakes, just, doesn't get it the second time, doesn't get it the third, finally gets it the fourth time. And then is able to continue with, that cumulative learning, like in math or science. I do think that, when we can, we should try and level the playing field for all students so that they can be as successful as they can possibly be.
Thank you. And Kelly McCaughey, Area 3.
Yes, I'm very passionate about this with my background in curriculum and education. And in education, we know that the grading is to monitor progress of how students are performing. It's a checkpoint, but it's not who the child is. So what I would say is at the elementary level, I absolutely love the standards-based aspect of the scoring of, basically it's a rubric 1 to 4 based on those concepts and skills taught. It makes sense at the elementary level, but going into the middle school and into the high school level, we understand, and certainly as a trustee, I am very familiar with the grading policy. At the end of the day, it's not an administrator or any other influence. The grading is determined by the teacher. And at the end of the day, what does that mean? For my children, it's partnering with their teachers to help ensure how are they performing. I have one child that struggles significantly in terms of some of his classes in regards to homework, and retakes is definitely something that is benefiting him. However, I have another child that performs very, very well and doesn't necessarily have to rely on that. So do I support retakes? Yes. In grading with equity, it provides an avenue for providing opportunities for our students to improve. But at the end of the day, it's working with our teachers and our children to set expectations for what they must do to get their work done. And it's the teachers' collaboration to ensure that they will be successful. I support collaborating with our teachers and with our children to help make sure that what they're being asked to do, they're being held accountable for, and that they're going to do the work. Thank you.